Hello. So let's get started with OneDrive and Copilot. And for some reason, my slide says OneDrive and Teams. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about OneDrive and Copilot. This is proof that I'm just really bad at PowerPoint. So we're going to talk about OneDrive itself and things you can do with OneDrive, and then how you integrate Teams with it. Not Teams, Copilot with it. This is what I'm going to tell you, though. This is meant to be highly engaging. Talk, ask questions, be loud. I think it's better when you're more interactive and you participate, because otherwise PowerPoint would put me to sleep. So we are ready to get started and just kind of show you both the basics of OneDrive, and then specifically how you can tailor Copilot into what you're doing with it to give you a better experience. My name is Joe Indelli. I'm a cloud solution architect focusing on endpoint management and Copilot for Microsoft. And we're hopefully going to have a good time today and talk about some fun stuff. So anyone excited to be here? Okay. That actually is a better response than I usually get. So I'm happy. And I will tell you anecdotally, I can do that. And I will tell you that. So when I first used M365, I worked in government too. I worked for City of Chicago, and this was 2013-ish. And the more excited than anything else was OneDrive, because I hated file shares, especially because I was in IT and managing them is a nightmare. But the idea of your files just following you around wherever you go without having to think about it is awesome. So I was the first one on the OneDrive bandwagon. I was the first one on the adoption. And it took a little time to get the rest of the organization off of OneDrive, but off of the old map drives and into OneDrive. But once you get there, once you start using, you'll never want to go back. It's just so much easier, so much more fluid. It'll take your documents folder and your pictures folder and all your desktop, everything that you basically use on a regular basis to save files. It'll just drag it along with you. So when you get a new machine, you don't have to do any work. It's just all right there. You're not going to leave anything behind. You're not going to forget things. Super easy, super simple. So we're going to start out by, so I made this PowerPoint deck. I'm the worst in PowerPoint. I am not good at it. So we're just going to skip the PowerPoint deck, honestly, and we're going to start showing the product itself. Again, how many people here actively use OneDrive, and how many people are still using my docs? Oh, this is a really good turnout. I love you all. This is good. One of the things that I'm noticing is a lot of government customers tend to fall behind it, and like they keep their map drives and their shared drives because they're just used to working a certain way. And we're hopefully going to show you the power of using OneDrive instead. Now, I'm going to give you this warning. I'm in IT. I've been in IT for, we'll call it a long time because I'm old. And I tend to build up my labs in a nerdy way. So just kind of feel free to laugh at me when you see the name of my user. My fictional user is Yoda. And as we get started, we're going to go into the OneDrive interface. So the first thing I want to do is take a look up top where you see gov and a random string of numbers. That for North Carolina, I believe, is NC Connect. I'm not entirely sure what it is for Raleigh or Wake Tech. But your organization-my.sharepoint.com is going to get you into your OneDrive. And when you come into OneDrive, it's going to start you off on your home screen. This shows you files that you recently worked on. It's going to show you other content that you have access to. I want to call notice into a couple of particular places. One of these places is owner. So right away, it tells you whether it's your content or it's the content of somebody else that was shared with you. Really cool. This little shared button also gives you context into that. Then on the side, you have this activity piece, and it tells you who's been using it and who's been interacting with this content. Really simple. So this one in particular, highlighted by Luke Skywalker, pulls them up, gives you the picture of the user. So you know what was done, the files that you shared with this person, because you have it in the list, and the contact info of that person. Now we're going to walk over to the files section. This is a list of all your files. So notice something here. When I said this takes everything with you, it takes everything with you. It's got, yes, your main OneDrive file. It's got a section for Copilot chat files. So when you generate some certain content within Copilot chat, we'll automatically make it into a file and put it into this folder for you. But it's also got desktop, attachments from emails that you send, your pictures from inside the My Pictures folder on your local machine. So if your IT team sets it up, it will take what we call known folders, desktop, documents, pictures, and pull them right into OneDrive. You get a new machine, just log in, your files are populated back down. I am going to shrink this down a bit. Okay. Now, once you get in OneDrive, you have additional power that you don't have if you're using map drives. And that power comes from a couple places. One, in the ability to freely and easily share all of this content with other people. So you could share it on a folder level, you could share it on a file level, you can share it to entire teams, through Teams. No idea what that was. Anyway, but you can also interact with Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI solution, which I'm sure you've heard about 70 times today so far. So what we're going to show you here is you're in the OneDrive interface, and there's some of the things that you can do and that you can do with OneDrive, but you couldn't do with files just saved to your machine or saved to a map drive. You can go into Copilot and summarize. You can go into create an FAQ. You can even create an audio overview. Keep in mind that takes a few minutes, but it actually does a really nice job. Or you could ask specific questions about it. So what I'd like to do is two things. I'd like to ask a question, and we're going to dig into a different file for this particular use case. We're going to go and grab this document that is a strategic plan for the state of North Carolina. We're going to ask a question out of it. Copilot will come up in the side, and it gives you sample prompts right here. And a prompt is how you interact with Copilot. It is the instructions that you give it. You're going to give this in natural language like you would speaking to a person. So if I wanted to say, Karen, create an FAQ for me, you can ask the same thing of Copilot. Create an FAQ of this file. It's going to come to the document, which is actually pretty large. So this is probably not the best example for this. But it'll generate an FAQ based on the content it finds inside this file. And as you can see, it puts a good amount of detail into it. Now, because this isn't a sidebar, if this was in Copilot itself, you'd easily be able to just transition this and have it put it into a Word doc. So you put it in what is called a Copilot page, then into a Word doc, and we'll take a look at that a little later. But because it's in the sidebar, you can just copy this out, open up Word, and now you've generated an FAQ based on that. Took all of a minute to generate an FAQ off an 80-page document. Really powerful. If you were going to do that manually, it would take substantially more time. Now, the other thing I'm going to show through this web interface is the ability to go through and compare and contrast multiple files at the same time. So we have 3 files here, and I'm going to go back up to the Copilot button, and I'm going to say, compare these files. It gives you a table with details on the files themselves, key points, focus, and ultimate outcome. After it creates this, if this is not enough, you can ask a question. It'll move it into the side panel here, and you're able to expand upon that. You can add more detail. You can ask for less detail. You can ask to look for specific pieces, specific items. It is really powerful and does a really nice job of taking very large pieces of information and summarizing them to the highlights that you need. I use it all the time. The other thing you can do, and this is one of the pieces that I absolutely love. At Microsoft, we work with really, really large teams. Our organization has 200,000 employees. It's crazy. And the amount of things that are thrown at us, you can't possibly manage. So I had a case last week where a colleague of mine was working with me on a particularly challenging customer problem. And we had some files. I had no idea where she shared them. I know she shared them to me. So what I did was something along these lines, and I'm going to put it as, see, this is why you have to pray to the demo gods before you do this, because this is not allowing me to click in here. I will do this instead. I'm going to search in here. I'm going to ask, what files were shared by Luke Skywalker? And it can search through your OneDrive and find content that was shared to you by any individual or any person. Here's the file. I want easy access. I just click right there. Nice and simple. And whoever hearted Luke Skywalker and Yoda, you get points. If you were here, I'd give you the cookie that was left over from Panera. So this is the basics of Copilot inside OneDrive on the actual web interface. It's really simple. It's really straightforward. Are there any questions so far? Yes.
Yeah. Lovely. But I have back his ADDs. Can I ask Copilot to help me organize my files?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And here's the thing though, and this is what he asked, if you can ask Copilot to organize the files. And I think what I'm going to say is, more than organizing the files, I don't care about organization anymore. I don't care at all, because I'll just say, Copilot, find the file that Lisa sent me last week, and it will pull the file that Lisa sent me last week. And if she sent me 5 files, it'll pull all 5 files. So you don't actually need to know where anything is anymore. You just ask it, and you don't ask it like you would normally, like, give me a file with this name sent by this person. I just say, send me everything that Lisa sent me. I don't have a clue what it's called. It doesn't really matter what it's called. Or if, say, I was working with Lisa on a problem for the state of North Carolina, I can say, give me anything Lisa shared with me for North Carolina. You don't even need to know what the thing's about. You just have a little tiny hint of what the topic is, and it'll pull that information for you. My thing is, yes, you can organize. I don't organize the thing anymore. I don't know where anything's saved. I don't really care where anything is saved, because with Copilot, you can just tell Copilot, find this for me, and it'll pull it up for you right away. Go ahead.
I kind of new to Microsoft though.
Don't tell me you're coming from Google.
Well, it's okay. So it's even worse. I was school teacher for like 15 years, and my district was Apple and Google, and so I hated it because 90% of the world is Microsoft. So now I'm with a prison system, and we use Microsoft. So I'm kind of learning. No, okay, SharePoint. Okay, and they're like this, right? 1 point, is that right?
So SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive are all built. Teams and OneDrive are built on top of SharePoint.
Okay.
So they're I won't say that they're exactly the same. I would say SharePoint is the foundation for all, and there's slightly different features to each, but yeah, they're basically the same.
I was just trying to, 'cause I know like for what I do, my career, we like to share with the information as a team. So I guess like as long as we share the file that we have in our OneDrive, that person will get it, you know.
Not only with OneDrive, but back before I came to Microsoft, I was a manager at a small mid-sized business in the Chicago area, and not only did we just get rid of all of our map drives for OneDrive, we just threw everything in Teams. Teams was the
Okay.
hub for absolutely everything because it's so much easier to manage than building out SharePoint sites when they're just not needed. Teams is easy. Everyone knows that everyone's going to be in there all day anyway. And as someone who absolutely hates email and would rather just interact with chat because it's so much quicker and more casual, my recommendation for everything is Teams. Way more efficient.
Lady first.
Lot of Adobe PDFs.
Okay.
So was the Copilot, can it summarize like a Adobe PDF?
Yes. So the question was, can Copilot summarize PDFs? The answer is yes. So the optical character recognition, the OCR, it will pull the PDF data. So if you can even take a PDF, and I actually did it this afternoon. I was prepping for this. That's state of North Carolina doc there was originally a PDF. I'm overtaxing my poor little laptop here today, so I just made it a Word doc. But I originally created a summary off that. So you can create the FAQ off PDFs. It's absolutely. Because it's just text in the end. It could read through the text.
Right. So, mine is a little convoluted question.
So those are the best kind.
So, from what I understand, OneDrive is a personal drive. So you leave the organization, that data is not available to anybody, maybe except an admin.
Yeah.
This happens, and a few years down the line, I have files that I need that employee had is shared, yet shared with somebody, and now it's not available. So, can Copilot go into that data and summarize or get me a list of files that person has if given admin permissions?
The question is for our home viewers, if somebody is in an organization and leaves and 2-3 years later, they want to retrieve that data, can Copilot go in and get it? That's not something you would use Copilot for. That's something you would use eDiscovery for. And the eDiscovery tools would pull that.
We use that right now.
Yeah.
My thing is just to kind of make sense of the data, like make it organized. This data came from this person versus this not. Like properties of the file, metadata and stuff like that.
And yeah, and at that point, when you do your eDiscovery search, you're going to search specifically for that user's content and the content that they own. Just keep in mind that when you do this, if you delete the user, that data goes away. So make sure you have retention policies in place that keep that data. The retention policies are the big piece, because if you don't have retention policies in place and you get rid of the account, you're not going to be able to search for it. You're not going to be able to find it at that point.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Other questions? Okay, so we're going to go a little more into this. As I said, OneDrive is really simple and really straightforward. You saw a lot of some of the things that you can do with the web interface. But the one question that people typically have is when you're using OneDrive, and I'm going to hide the PowerPoint again. What does it look like on my actual machine? This is Windows File Explorer. And when you look at File Explorer here, you see the same files that you saw otherwise. So we're first going to go over to the general OneDrive folder. As you can see, it's pretty much identical. You can actually dive into, this is the My Documents folder. And if you look for the My Documents, the traditional link down here and the OneDrive link, they are exactly the same. Now, what I want to point out when you look at this also gives you good information, similar to what you have on the web. Not exactly the same pieces, but still similar. But it also takes it a step further. The first thing you're going to think is, when I get a new machine and I have all my files in OneDrive, how long is it going to take to bring them all down? The answer is it doesn't bring them all down. What it does is it brings links to them all down. And when you access them is when it's going to grab that content. So if you look here and you see status, this one is a cloud because this is sitting up in OneDrive and this is not on your local system at all. This one has a little circle with a checkbox because this has actually been brought down to the system. This is right here on this machine. This one has been sitting like this for a while now. It is the circle with the two arrows. That just means this content is on your machine and currently uploading itself into OneDrive. So it'll be accessible. Usually doesn't take this long, but it's taking a little bit of time this time. There are a couple more that I want to show you. This is not actually OneDrive. This is from Teams. This is from specifically a team. And it was brought on through the OneDrive app, just like OneDrive content. So if you have a team that you use regularly and you want quick access to those files without actually going into Teams, you can do that too. And it's really straightforward. So we're going to go here and we are going to look at this one. And that is not the button I wanted to press. And this is not showing me what I'm, there we go. You open the files, you have the sync button. That adds it straight to OneDrive. It's that easy.
Can you batch or sync a folder to OneDrive? I know it takes its own sweet time, but let's say if I wanted to sync right now, like I have 25, then I want them to all sync together, like offline and online.
Well, upon saving that file, it should automatically just put it up. You shouldn't have to do anything. You shouldn't have to batch sync it. You shouldn't have to interact. As long as you save to one of those folders that's syncing, it should automatically go up. The one that those two that I showed you that have been syncing for a while, I have no idea why they're taking so long. I'm guessing it's because I've been dropping on and off network all day.
That happens to us all the time because we have half the files that are not synced for days. I mean, it's just sitting there, it's not even trying to sync, unless you open the file, then it syncs immediately.
That should not be the use case. I'm gonna have to see why this one is responding that way because it's not typical. I just assume it's because I'm overtaxing my laptop. I'm at like 96% memory the last I checked. It's going a little slow today. But it should be instant. And if it's not, reach out to Naveen or your CSAM is Caitlin, I think. Caitlin will be able to bring someone, a SharePoint person online and say, hey, this is happening for this reason, because that should not be the experience. It should be pretty much instant.
Department does.
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me, I'm Karen Mann, and go, yeah, we'll get you both down this money.
I've seen your email.
Yeah. Feel free.
That is not a typical experience. I love OneDrive. OneDrive is my thing, definitely more than email. And the other piece I'll show you is if you take a look at this status, you have the circle and you also have the little person next to it. The circle obviously means that it's both here and synced to OneDrive. Everything is good in that regard. Little person just tells you that it's been shared. This file has been shared with someone. The other thing that I want to show you from the File Explorer interface, and this is something that is not well known or used, is if you look here inside the ribbon, you can actually share files through your OneDrive. You don't need to go to OneDrive. You don't need to go to Teams. And you have the ability to go in here and say edit, review, and then quickly send. So that file is now shared as well. Really easy, really simple, really straightforward. I'm going to show you one more piece. And this is a summary we created off the strategic plan earlier. We're also going to do this. So I am, besides being a nerd, I am a hot pepper aficionado. I grow the hottest peppers in the world and some less hot. You look shocked. I think the hottest, they don't give you, that you can't find seeds for the hottest in the world. I have the third hottest of the world that's in my garden this year.
I'll look you up.
Oh, look up chocolate primatali. It's right now a second or third hottest in the world. You can get seeds for that. It's gonna kill you. Don't do it at home. Really don't do it at home. But we're gonna use OneDrive. We're gonna take a look at how OneDrive interacts, but we're also gonna take a look at what Copilot can do for us inside OneDrive and Word. So I'm going to ask Copilot to tell me about the hottest peppers in the world. And Copilot for Word in my lab today does not work at all. So what we're going to do is, that means window out of the way. We're going to shrink this down. And we're going to do it inside, not my lab, because this has been working just fine today. If you hit Alt-I, it pulls up Copilot. Copilot is really good at document creation. So it will tell you about the hottest peppers in the world or whatever topic. Typically, these are more business focused topics. Not everyone uses them for hot peppers the way I do. Typically, you're going to ask things like, I'm a hiring manager looking for this type of position. Give me information of this type of position. And it'll create effectively job listings, or this is the state plan. Give me an FAQ or give me a summary of the state strategic plan. It's really good at, we use it a lot internally for context and understanding. Good example is this is the first time I'm engaged with the state of North Carolina or anything in my time at Microsoft. So give me a little background on it. I can start searching through the files and Teams and in SharePoint that my colleagues have, and I can use Copilot to give me a summary of what's going on with the state, so I just know where everything lands before I get here and we talk. Once you have this, my favorite piece, and I showed this off in the last session too, is you can tell this to write this in the tone I would use. So it writes it, it analyzes what you've written in the past in your emails and your team chats and creates the document based on that. So it sounds like you, it's how you write your style. And then you can say, hey, my writing is terrible, so I want to go cycle back to the first draft it gave me. Or let me go ahead and keep the second one. And I'm really kind of curious what Copilot thinks of my pepper style. Anyway, now say you've built this, and I honestly use Copilot and Word in a couple different ways. One is when you have your content, that's awesome. Say you want to put a preface to it. Say you want to just put a summary to it at the top or at the bottom. You just say summarize this document and put it all in the paragraph, and you can attach it to the end. It's really simple. It's really cool. Say you're terrible at PowerPoint the way I am. You need to build a PowerPoint out for something. I typically build it out in Word first, and then I tell Copilot, take this Word document, make it a PowerPoint file, and it'll just do it for you. And it doesn't get you 100% of the way there. I think a great example I have is I delivered a workshop for a Texas city on Windows 11 early on in the Windows 11 life cycle. And when I did that, it created the PowerPoint, and instead of having like the Microsoft Windows logo, it had a picture of a dog looking out the window. It's not perfect, but the content was spot on and the content was perfect. So all I needed to do was play around with the imaging. Took 20 minutes instead of a few hours to build out. Once we have the doc, you can interact in a lot of different ways. One of the cool things you'll see is they suggest a lot of prompts. You can summarize and just put that summary at the end or at the beginning. You can extract certain text. You can create an audio overview from the document. And those audio overviews tend to take a few minutes, but they're actually really accurate. They do a nice job with the audio overviews. What I want to do with this is rank the peppers by SHU. And I'm doing it this way for a reason. SHU, Scoville heat unit. I didn't need to tell it Scoville heat unit. If it doesn't understand, which it didn't in the 3 times I did it earlier today, you have to go in, you can go in and specify, so it'll tell you, hey, I don't understand this. That's what I wanted to show. This time it just took, probably because I've been doing this all day. And what you're going to see here is it gives you a list of the peppers by Scoville heat unit. And then once you do that, you can either insert it and it will put it where your mouse was, which was apparently up top. Or you can take it and say, make a table. Note that the way this works is unlike traditional searching. So say you go to Bing, because nobody goes to Google, you're going to put in a keyword search and it's going to give you your results, right? Then you want to refine the search, you have to do that search again with a couple changes. Notice that with Copilot, I did the initial prompt. And the prompt was, give me the information on the hot peppers. And then I said, put this in a list. And from there, I said, put it in a table. It understands the context of what I put before. So I don't need to do the entire search over again. I just do one search. That search will add content or subtract content or analyze content based on what I had done in that search string before. And this is really important. So if you were to do this, and let's show, we're showing a couple things here. For one, I spelled summarize wrong, and it's still going to know what I mean. Again, context over keywords. Context is king. I do this slash, and it knows to check. And I can say, summarize this. It'll give me a summary of the file. From here, I can say, and again, it'll be able to search within similar context. One last piece to the OneDrive side of it, and feel free to continue with questions. One of the other benefits of OneDrive is the fact that once you save a file to OneDrive, it constantly saves. Because it constantly saves, you will not lose any content. Notice once you save it the first time, it'll say auto save is on. You don't have to manually save it. I'm going to do that just to change the name. And I'm going to put in this and type a bunch of J's. Right up top, it's saving. You don't have to do anything else. So if you type something and say you lose the document, or you want to go back to an earlier revision because you made some changes and you don't like those changes, it actually saves version history and you can go back to that previous version anytime you need to. You can also co-author files with other people. This is my best example of that. Let's open a file. And I believe it's this one. So when you look at this file has been opened now by Yoda. On the side here, it will tell us that, unless I opened the wrong one, I did. Let's do this file. This is the one. And this is great to use inside the Teams context. Note when you look at this, and this is Word on the web, this works in the Word app itself, provided that your Word app is up to date. We showed here that Luke Skywalker also has this file open. And it knows he's on page 1. So if you're in a Teams call and you want to collaborate on the same file and you want to make edits together, you can absolutely do that. We do that internally all the time. I do it with my manager every other week. We work on the same file, the same OneNote together. We're both adding things and subtracting things at the same time. Because of the nature of OneDrive and how it's collaborative and how multiple people can have access to the same file, these files are able to be edited by multiple people at the same time. Any thoughts or any questions?
How do you go back to a previous version, just the process?
Honestly, it's been so long, I don't know that I remember. It is a really good question. So what we are going to do is start new Copilot chat. Now notice a couple things. One, my spelling is still bad. And two, the way you asked me the question is the way I asked it the question. It's prompting and not keyword searching. So if you open OneDrive, look at the document, right click on the document and select version history. Let's see if we can do that off of this. Karen, do we have anything in chat?
We cannot.
You right click OneDrive, version history. And apparently there's only one version of this file. So this is not really a good example.
Maybe that close paper document would have been better. It made a change.
Oh, good. Hold on, the Pepper document was on my OneDrive. And what do we name it? Actually, let's do this. This should have a ton of versions to it. Apparently only 2 versions to it. So you can go and you can grab the previous version. Let's grab that. Documents that have a very long lifetime will have several versions attached. I've done a lot of saving with this document. I've only opened it once or twice. So you're not going to see a ton of versioning. That's a good question. Maybe you had to remember something. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? OneDrive is pretty straightforward. It's not particularly difficult to use. As someone who, with a passion, hated map drives because managing them was a nightmare, it's just going to make your lives easier. And honestly, my last company was small, Chicago-based, but also international. We had a very tiny IT staff, and we were literal statement spread across the world. Half of our business was in Europe. There was a chunk in Asia Pac. We used Autopilot to just drop ship laptops to people. OneDrive made it all possible because you can't do those things. You don't have those efficiencies if you're using traditional file shares. It just doesn't exist that way. Any other questions?
Still I don't have to organize anything, so that's nice. Yeah.
I don't organize anything ever.
I love it.
And if you look at the PowerPoint that I upload with my previous session on Teams, there's 2 prompts that I shared with that group that will help you as someone who doesn't organize either.
Yes.
Immensely. They are, let me see if I can pull them up. There are 2 prompts. That first one, create an overview of everything in the last 10 days. 10 days is an arbitrary number. Think of it as, this is a great prompt for when you go on vacation and you're away for 7 days. And you want everything organized in a quick and easy way. And I would show you an example because I've done these, they do work. They're actually from a tool we have internally called Prompt Buddy, which you can absolutely use here. There's no reason you can't. If you use Prompt Buddy, people can save and share their prompts with everyone. And you can already save and share your prompts with people. But this kind of makes it like a game and a gallery where people upvote and downvote things. So you can see what's the most popular one. These 2 are by far my favorite because there are simpler prompts that will give you similar information. But the first one is, hey, I've been gone for 10 days. Summarize this. So if you're on vacation, if you're off, or if you're like us, where you're just not organized, this will give you everything you did this week. It's a great Friday catch up, say a Friday afternoon, say, hey, what did I do this week instead of 10 days? What am I missing? What should I have completed? This will give it to you. The bottom one is, I need to prepare for my day. What did I do yesterday? What's hot? What are my action items? What's outstanding that I need to complete? And they format it very specifically. So it'll say red bubble toward the stuff that's hot, orange bubble to the stuff that's in between, and green bubble to the stuff that's got some time or that's kind of chill. It's very cool prompts. Just note that they're written in natural language like you would speak to a person, and B, they're very specific of what they're asking for. So when you use Copilot, the more general your prompt, the more the information is going to be. The more targeted and specific your prompt, the more targeted and specific the information you get back is going to be. Okay. Thank you, everyone.